Welcome, everyone, to Spark the Genius, the podcast slash YouTube show slash whatever this is. I'm your host, Spark the Genius, and I'm here to spark the genius within you. And today's guest to help us spark the genius within ourselves is Tim Williams, who is, well, we're going to find out who Tim is. But we can already tell if you're watching the video. He's got cool posters behind him, and he's like in a professional studio, and he's got a mic and headphones, and he's got a little keyboard back there. So he's already more advanced than me or many people. Hello, Tim Williams.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm all right. You're in Los Angeles.
Yes, at good old LA.
Very nice. And today is October 11th, 2022. And it is cold in Canada, and I was just, I just took off my scarf so I didn't look too ridiculous here. But how's the weather in LA?
Today's overcast, which we like. We like that because otherwise it gets a bit hot. But it's nice to get a bit of variety. So
Yeah,
we need rain. Desperately need rain here.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was talking, I was over at a rabbi's house for dinner a couple of nights ago, and a woman answered the door, and it turned out it was her mom, or his mom, and she's from Anaheim, and she was saying, oh, if it rains in LA, like it's a whole thing that's on the news. Oh my God, rain watch, 2 centimeters of rain, like it's a big deal.
Yeah, we love rain here. It's and we're so low on water, so we're just hoping it's going to rain soon.
Yeah, she was also saying it's nice there, like, the weather's great and everything, but there's wildfires all the time, and so I guess you need water to fight the fires. But other than raging infernos, it's a good creative place to be.
It is. There's a lot of cool things going on here, and a lot of great talent in LA. That's kind of, as you say, sparks the genius.
Excellent. And I guess you are one of those talents. Are you a composer?
Yes, yeah. Most recently, I co-scored Pearl with Tyler Bates and a Canadian film called The Swearing Jar, both of which just premiered at TIFF.
Oh, wow.
Swearing Jar is actually gearing up for a nice big Canadian release fairly soon. I think October is what I understand. But it's been getting great reviews. It's got Patrick Adams from Suits. It's got Kathleen Turner. And Adelaide Clements and Doug Smith as well, if you know Doug Smith from Clarice and a few other TV shows that he's in. But yeah, Patrick Adams is amazing. It had a fantastic premiere at TIFF, so I'm excited for both of those. Pearl is doing very well, as you know, in the theaters, and people seem to be responding well to it. So it's always very exciting when you work hard on something and people seem to dig it. So
Yeah, Pearl's not a sequel or anything, right?
It's a prequel. Yeah, it's the prequel.
Okay, it
to
is,
X.
because I remember.
Yeah. So X came out first in it's set in the 1970s, and Pearl is set in 1918. And there's a plan they just announced to do a third one that's set in the 1980s. But they all star Mia Goth in various roles. In X, she plays both the mother. Both the old lady Pearl, and she also plays Mia. She also plays Maxine, which is the younger porn star character that goes. They go to the Texas to this farm, and bad things happen there.
Oh man. Okay, so now she's playing the younger version of
so
herself.
So she plays both. Yeah. In X, she's playing both.
Was she playing her daughter? Like, is Maxine her daughter in the first one?
No, sorry. Maxine is just she's a stranger. She goes to the farm basically with a group of kids to film this porn movie in the 70s, and the farm is owned by an old man and an old lady. The old lady's called Pearl, and it turns out Pearl has some issues.
Yeah.
So they were filming it in New Zealand, and Ty West came up with this really great idea with Mia because it was right in the middle of COVID, to film a prequel, because they did a lot of background, research and kind of just discussion about who is Pearl, like how did she become who she becomes in the X movie. And they kind of got so interested in that story that they pitched the idea to A24 of doing a prequel to it, and that was Pearl. And again, it's probably unlike any movie you'll ever see. It's done almost like a 1940s film. It's almost like a lost Hitchcock film, and it's in Technicolor, and the whole style of the film is really cool. It's a definite art house type film, and it didn't hurt that Martin Scorsese just fell in love with it. Was just singing its praises. So that definitely got people out to go and see it. And,
that's crazy.
Yeah. So if this Halloween you see women in red dresses with axes, you'll know what.
Right. I think we watched. I think when I was sitting at TIFF, we saw a whole bunch of those walking by, and somebody's like, "Oh, it's the Handmaid's Tale people." I'm like, "No, like I've seen them walking around, but this looks different." So yeah, it was a different outfit. So maybe that was a bunch of pearls walking around.
I think it was. It seems to have become a bit of a viral trend of and then A24 is holding this kind of totally open call for people for Maxine if they send in a reel, of one of their favorite scenes from Pearl. So there's been a lot of TikToks posted and a lot of sort of viral entries of people trying to see if they can get cast in Maxine. So
as like to play the older Maxine?
No, that's going to be Mia Goth, but just as sort of an extra or
just anything.
Yeah, just to be in the movie.
I guess that's what they would do now, because when I was young, I remember they were looking to cast Robin in like the Batman movie, and everybody lost, so everybody's trying to enter, but you would just, I don't even know if I entered, but I know I had friends entering, and they would just, film a audition on a VHS tape and mail it in and pray. Right. And then even when, the new Spider-Man guy was, I mean, he submitted, I feel like they probably did an open call or something, one of those things. There's always like, or Anne of Green Gables, like people, those things where they're trying to submit, like get everybody in the world to submit. And so that, but now, of course, everybody post on TikTok, make it a public, a big thing. It's a lot easier to submit auditions now.
It really is, yeah. And for whatever strange reason, I have nothing to do with, casting or anything like that, but a lot of people have been tagging me, so I've seen a ton of these really awesome TikToks of people. There's some really great talent out there.
They're probably looking for, okay, who's anybody related to this movie that I can sort of get their attention.
Right.
Maybe the composer will, he's lonely. he'll put in a good word for me. Yeah. Man, I gotta make a little audition as somebody for this, because normally horror movies are kind of low budget. They're just cranking them out like a Saw movie every year or whatever. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's pretty rare for this to be actually cinematographically nice and have Martin Scorsese talking about it, but it's still, I guess, violent and everything. So this is pretty.
Yeah, it's it's hard to call it a horror film. I think it's more just a disturbing thriller. It's a character study. That there's definitely violence in it and horror elements in it, but it's more it's much more about the character of Pearl and how she becomes who you see her in X. Wow. And one of the things that's amazing is that you really do sympathize with her. Like it's probably the only film I've ever watched where your heart breaks for the serial killer,
yeah.
But I think that's a really always an interesting take when you can make a character incredibly likable and relatable, and have the audience care about their journey. Even though they end up being an anti-hero and off kilter. There's a very famous 9-minute monologue that she gives at the end that a lot of people have been saying, yeah, definitely Oscar worthy, like definitely look at her for an award for it. But it really is an incredible sequence. 5 minutes of it is completely, the camera doesn't move, doesn't cut away from her. Yeah. It's a 5-minute sequence where she basically breaks down, and it's definitely one of the most riveting things I've seen in film. You just can't look away, and wow. to hold the audience's attention for 5 minutes, without cutting away, just talking. I mean, it was very cool. The premiere was in Toronto, and it was at the Royal Alex. and it was just so well attended, and the audience was really revved up for it. But it was so exciting because these, when you work on a film, I'm kind of just here in my studio working on it, so you never know how it's going to translate to other people. But it was really interesting seeing the reaction of the audience and how connected they were with the character, and how, you just hear gasps, and you'd hear just like laughs and applause and all kinds of, just the reaction was palpable. So I think in general, though, Canadians love film. They really are passionate about the art form. So it's really exciting to see that level of intense reaction and just passionate kind of reaction to a movie.
Yeah, we like things that are indoors here because we're trapped indoors for the whole winter. But so, I guess that was a Midnight Madness that was at, right?
It was.
Yeah, I had a press pass, so I was covering red carpets, and I went to that one. And usually I would draw, I'd like to draw a picture of the people who are going to be on the red carpet. So I had one of Mia and one of the director. Actually, I drew everybody as the Pearl character. And then I'm like, what if the director was Pearl? And I had ones for the producers. Maybe I had one for you. I don't even know.
That's awesome.
And Eli Roth was just hanging around. Everybody's like, it's Eli Roth. So I quickly drew him and gave it to him as well. And it was all a fun Midnight Madness.
I remember that. Yeah, I was actually not too far away from that.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so that was
off to the right. Yeah,
excellent. So I'll have to go back.
But
and
I remember that. I remember you walked up and handed it over.
Yeah, that was cool. Fun. And what I didn't realize is sometimes with the Midnight Madnesses, you assume, okay, I guess at TIFF, everything's a high-quality movie, but you sort of go, okay, this is one of those weird kind of silly movies or just a horror film or a genre film. So I didn't realize this was, such an artistically crafted thing, especially for a prequel. It's rare for, other than Godfather 2 or something, for another movie in a franchise to be so artistically excellent. So that's pretty cool.
It is. It's that's the when you score films, that's the thing that is it's more rare than anything is to come across a film that's really well crafted, well edited. And the other thing about this film was it was locked from day one, which as a composer is fantastic. Normally you're working on the film and they're changing the edit, so you within the space of trying to write the score, you might get somewhere between 10 or 30 different versions of the film. And of course, the moment you re-edit scenes, the music doesn't work anymore. And it's not always just, sometimes you can just cut the music a little bit and it fits and it works. But often, with the music, you're trying to catch the pulse and the pace of the scene and the shifts. So if those now fall in a different place, suddenly, sometimes the whole music doesn't work.
Because it's... Go ahead, yeah.
Well, it's you're crafting it to flow with the storyline and the rhythm of the acting and the scene. So you're building slowly to a moment, and if that moment comes in a different place, suddenly the whole structure of it just collapses. So that was hugely helpful. The Pearl was locked; it never changed, and so you can take bigger risks and you can do things maybe that you wouldn't do. If you're writing and the story is going to be cut up or whatever, you might be a little bit more, I don't want to say generic, but you're maybe simpler in how you would approach it because, you may have to edit it.
Yeah.
Versus, with this where it was locked, I knew that I could really ramp up sections or adjust sections, and it would always hit the same change points. It would always hit the same moments of drama. So that was very helpful. Note to all the directors out there: please give the composer locked cut.
Yeah. Don't be focus grouping and go, oh, you know what? We need to give this a happy ending. We asked people and they don't like it.
Hey, it happens. That's often a lot of the way films get made. You have 20 people and someone doesn't like a scene, or
if you look at Rogue One or that Star Wars movie that they were re-editing and reshooting, or was it? Didn't they have another director come in? All those Star Wars movies are. Yeah.
I think Ron Howard stepped in.
Oh no, he actually stepped in to film the Solo one, Han Solo.
Oh, it was the Han Solo one that he stepped in on. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, right. Maybe that's the one I'm thinking. That was just actually, they went and reshot the whole thing. That was because they originally had these two comedian guys the guys from those cartoons or something. Was it? I forget.
Oh, really?
But what's that show? Is it even a show? What am I thinking of? Like that satirical, like claymation type of thing. I don't know. Is it the guy who did the Mormon play? Like the
Oh, okay.
what are their names?
Yeah,
I should Google this.
from South Park.
Yeah.
Yeah, Trey.
Yeah, let me look. Was it them? South Park solo movie. Let me type that in, see if it's at all. Am I thinking of the right thing? Maybe I'm not. Maybe it's a different. Well, whatever. We're doing it live here. It's like original director solo movie. Let's see if it even know. Ron Howard, Kathleen Kennedy, Alden. Yeah. Who was the original director? Phil Lord and Chris Miller. Okay, so who were they? They directed Clone High. This is a great podcast. Oh, the Lego Movie, Chance of Meatball, 21 Jump Street, that kind of stuff.
And
okay.
and Shrek, I think. No, for Shrek.
They producers of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh, that was great.
Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. Yeah, so that was going to be their first. No, but they did 21 Jump Street before. Anyways, yeah, so they were looking for more of a comedy thing. What was I talking about? Lock the cut, directors, please. So because I mean, it makes you realize, like, you know, if something's a cheap movie or a TV show where people don't have time to craft, you'll just get a generic, you know, you could just get a stock track that just sort of goes over everything, like, oh, it's spooky. But if it's not reacting to what's actually going on, it kind of just, it's almost just like dulling the whole thing, like just this. I don't know. Yeah, so that must have been pretty nice. I guess you didn't work on X originally.
I didn't know. That was Tyler Bates and Chelsea Wolfe.
And Tyler, is he the one that coded this with you or no?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, he did. So that you were influenced by, I mean, obviously so is it kind of like Star Wars? Like there's kind of a track and then you write some new variations of it, or?
No, Pearl was the only sort of Easter egg that's in it is actually a song called "Wee Wee Marie," which is Tyler and Chelsea did a cover of it for X, but we did in this version. There's a dance with the scarecrow, and that's "Wee Wee Marie." It comes back, but as more of a sort of a classic Hollywood style from the golden era of Hollywood. Where she's sort of imagining herself as a dancer dancing with the scarecrow, which is her big dream. That's the only piece that is in both movies. And then as towards the end of the movie, the very end credits, you start to hear the music shift into the X music. So while Pearl is all sort of orchestral and very, you know, much saturated with the golden age of Hollywood sound, X obviously is much more 70s based. So, and the idea was that, you know, in the end credits, it slowly is transitioning so that it connects with X musically.
Right. And then I guess you were saying the next one would be the 80s or the 90s?
80s.
80s, yeah. So it'll be Bucka. Well, I don't know what 80s, you know, 80s music. That's what it'll be. Yeah, it's funny. I saw a woman on Instagram yesterday, like this influencer, saying she was at the costume store and showing the stuff that's costumes now, and it was like, you know, 90s jacket, like kind of Miami Vice colors, and like retro cell phone, or like just all this stuff from the 80s and 90s, and she's like, wait, this is costumes now? Like, it's like kind of, I guess, scary the older you get now. It's like, haha. But yeah, you keep hearing about these things like, I don't know, in Back to the Future, like how long, you know, they're talking about the 50s, but that was only, you know, 20 or 30 years before that movie. So it's like we are now further from Back to the Future than Back to the Future was from the 50s, or that Happy Days was from the 50s, that kind of thing. So
I don't know if you saw that fantastic viral clip yesterday of Chris Lloyd and Michael J. Fox hugging at Comic-Con. Yeah, it went viral yesterday. But yeah, I mean, I remember that movie. When it first came out, and it was incredible. It was, you know, such a great movie, great score by Al Silvestri, and cool. it still holds up. It's such a great iconic work.
Yeah, classic. Yeah, one of those movies that, you know, they could show it in a park on a screen, or it's never. I didn't watch. I saw the feed come, like the clip come through my feed, and I was like, oh, I didn't watch it yet because I was like, is that the old one? Because I know they reunited like on Conan at a fan expo or Comic Con or something a few years ago. So I'd sort of seen it. I'm like, oh, they're doing it again. Very cool. Um, but yeah, my sister has Parkinson's, so we have sort of a kinship to Michael J. Fox, and
Yeah.
always looking like, okay, can he be successful? And I guess he's Canadian, so I worshipped him on Family Ties and stuff. I was like, didn't really understand that he was, what politics meant and how he's supposed to be Republican or whatever that meant. But I was like, hey, I like how he dresses and he's cool and he's smart and everything. I want to be like Michael J. Fox. So. But originally, he wasn't even. They started shooting it without him, right? It was supposed to be this other guy.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
forget his name.
Was it John Cusack they were thinking of?
No,
Probably
it was one of these '80s actors that wasn't like a big thing. Like I could Google his name, but he was just kind of like a serious heartthrob guy. Original. It's sad that we don't know his name, but that's why we don't know his name. Back to the Future actor. It was Eric Stoltz.
Oh, Eric
Whoever.
Stoltz. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And then they're like, he's not funny. This is too dark, or whatever
Yeah,
it
that's
was.
right. I heard those stories. Yeah, they got very concerned about him. But the most recent thing I saw Michael J. Fox in was Curb Your Enthusiasm. I don't know if you saw that episode. But,
No.
it is so funny. He plays himself, and of course Larry David plays his usual sort of annoying, obnoxious self, and is in the apartment below Michael J. Fox, and they basically, as usual, sort of get into this big fight. And I thought Michael J. Fox was so good in it because he hands him a can of Coke, which explodes all over Larry David, and Larry David's like, "You did that on purpose," and Michael J. Fox is like, "No, Parkinson's," so he keeps getting him with all these different things, and keeps going, Larry, it's my Parkinson's, I can't help it," Their rivalry is absolutely fantastic. It's a incredible episode, and I loved it. I thought it was great that both Larry David and Michael J. Fox clearly had a blast doing that episode.
That is fantastic, and it's interesting because like at this point, like if he wants a role, you'll have to address the thing, right? So here's a way, okay, write it into the story, play himself, make that the comedy kind of thing. So I think the last thing he did, I didn't see it, but he was playing somebody with Parkinson's in some kind of TV show. I don't know if it was a TV show about him or if it was one episode of something like a murder show or something, but yeah, that's so cool. And Curb is like my favorite. Like that's my dream. Like I want to be Larry David. I want to be living in LA, filming a show about myself, just being neurotic and with all my celebrity friends. Like I remember, God, this thing's been around forever. I had a friend, the director, that introduced me to the show 10 years ago, more than that, like on DVD, and we were studying it. We're like, oh my God, we've got to shoot something. Like we actually, he passed away a long time ago. So this must have been like 15 years ago. And we shot a short film I wrote kind of about my dating life and stuff. And then we had put his, like the Curb Your Enthusiasm music on it as a track. We're like, if we actually want to do something with this, we can't use the copyrighted music. So we tried to find something similar, but it was very hard because it was just so perfect.
It's very iconic, isn't it?
But it's not even a thing. I mean, he just found some random, really happy music that he thought was so ridiculous that he just threw it on there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the main title is an Italian composer who wrote it as an ad, music for an ad. And I think Larry stumbled across it and just thought it would be a perfect main title theme. So that guy in Italy has obviously done very well.
Oh, so he's getting, I guess he gets royalties for.
Oh, sure.
Oh, man. See, it's interesting how, whatever your creative expertise is, you're going to see movies through that lens. So you're always aware of the music and who's made the music and who's getting royalties from the music. Yeah. That's so cool. But it is a big part of movies, yeah.
It's great. Yeah, I know there's another season actually dropping very soon, I think this month, maybe.
That makes me so happy.
Yeah.
I gotta get down there. Actually, yeah, like I wrote a love song for his ex-wife once. Or it was kind of like, she's a big environmentalist, like producing Inconvenient Truth. So I made like a rap music proposal for her about all the eco things we would do together, marry me instead of Larry David, because I was trying to do eco stuff. And then I remember years ago, there was like some charity website where you could bid on things. And there was like, you could bid to have a spa day with the woman who plays his wife in the movie, Cheryl Hines, I guess.
Oh, yeah, show. Yeah, she's awesome.
I don't think I bid on that or got it or whatever, but One day I'll bump into Larry and he'll be like, "You're so funny. We gotta hang out. We gotta chill."
I think he's pretty grumpy in real life.
I believe it. Like I know it's a hyper version of himself, but
Yeah.
it's you can't fake it that much.
No.
So maybe we won't get along, or maybe we'll be. I don't know. I want to meet Woody Allen as well. I feel like his movies. I'm just like, that's me, so neurotic, whatever. Like even when I was 10 years old, people like the parents of my friends would, like, the kids would come to school. My dad says you remind him of Woody Allen. I'm like, who's that? Like, what? And then I grew up. I'm like, oh yeah, I get that.
Yeah, they're beautiful, incredible artist. I still adore his films.
Yeah, I want to start making movies now. Like I was covering the Ottawa Animation Festival after TIFF because I was looking for more festivals to do, and it was just so cool seeing people. It's like a big family. They tour around with their little shorts, and they all know each other. Like they're from different countries, but they got this thing. And like you were saying, that's just the reactions. Like watching these, these animated shorts, and then this guy from, was he from Estonia, something like that? And he's like, it was so amazing to see the audience laughing throughout his movie and stuff. Because you're sitting there making your movie, you don't know how people are going to react. So very cool that you got to sit in an audience at TIFF and do that as well. So you're just looking at your like a music studio right now. Is that your studio or is that your work? What is that?
This is my work studio.
Like, is that your house or you've got like a business?
It's a separate separate studio. But it's a separate building, but it's based where I live, so the commute's nice and quick.
Oh, sweet!
And during COVID, it was great because it didn't really impact where I worked or how I worked.
Yeah.
Mostly what I do here is I score film and TV, and then we go to the bigger studios to replace it all with live instruments. We have, if it's orchestral, I'll either record in LA or London, or doing a bunch of stuff at Nashville recently for orchestra. And same with the rhythm section. We'll go to Capitol, or we'll go to some of these other studios to do drums or guitars or bass or.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then, like, I'm looking at the posters behind you. Like, does that mean you did like the music for Get Out, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I wrote the back half of Get Out. Brightburn I scored, which is a Dave Yarvo film produced by James Gunn. I did. I was the orchestrator and did additional music on 300 and Watchmen and Sucker Punch. Same with Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2. I did additional music, orchestrated, conducted, and Hobbs and Shaw, Deadpool 2, and just reminding myself what else I've done. But
we'll go look at your IMDb, I guess.
Yeah, you can check me out on IMDb. Also, you can check my website, which is timothywilliams.net, and I post a ton of stuff up there, so you can.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. We could, especially a lot of your stuff is genre stuff, like stuff that people would be crazy passionate about and everything. So let's see, would it be under projects here? Okay, we got Pearl, Swearing Jar, Brightburn. Oh, right. That was like the evil Superman kid.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Creepshow, Guardians of the Galaxy. I gave a cartoon to Michael Rooker, I guess, at the red carpet for that.
Oh, did
one.
you? Yeah.
Yeah. He was so sweet because, like, I did this whole elaborate drawing. So it wasn't at TIFF. It was just like a regular little movie night. And then I bumped into him at a hotel lobby like 3 hours later. I'm like, hey. And he's like, hey. And he's still carrying the drawing around. I'm like, what a sweet guy.
Yeah, he really is nice. I've met him a couple times.
Let's see here. We got Deadpool 2. So Deadpool 3 is coming out. Maybe you'll get in on that. We'll see. And then I drew a picture. I didn't get to talk to Jordan Peele. He was busy at TIFF, but I talked to Keegan Michael Key. Yeah. So he got a drawing. Oh, you got Harry Potter here, The Wizarding World. So you wrote music for the theme park, like if you're walking around or on a ride.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that was fun. We recorded that in LA, but it was obviously the theme, Harry Potter theme, but then I wrote a lot of music in the style of, so that when you're walking around the Wizarding World, you sort of feel in that Harry Potter world. Similar thing for Jurassic World Live. It's a live tour. It sadly got shut down because of COVID, but my understanding is they're going to start bringing it back. But they have live dinosaurs and in a big arena.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. Walking with the Enemy. That's the one. Was that the one about the sniper? No.
Walking with the Enemy is a film. It's got Sir Ben Kingsley in it,
Yeah,
and
I've
it's
seen that.
about and Jonas Armstrong. If you're people have ever watched the British Robin Hood series, he was Robin Hood. But it's a fantastic movie about a guy. He was Jewish and he disguised himself as a German officer, and he was responsible. True story. Responsible for getting a lot of because the Swiss were neutral. He would create false Swiss papers, and they were Swiss nationals. Jewish Swiss nationals were allowed to leave Germany, and he was responsible for getting thousands of Jews out of Nazi Germany. But he did it because his German was fluent, and he could disguise himself as a German officer. It's a true story. It's absolutely incredible. Hence the Walking with the Enemy. He was in disguise the whole time, obviously terrified of getting caught and discovered. It's a pretty sort of edge of your seat kind of movie. I think you can watch. Yeah, if you Google, you can find out where to watch it. I think it might be on Netflix or Amazon, but it's a pretty amazing film.
So Jonas Armstrong played the officer, and then
Jonas Armstrong, played the lead.
Okay.
And
That's kind of like
Ben
sorry?
Kingsley, I think, played one of the politicians.
oh, okay, kind of like a Schindler's List kind of thing.
It is.
And Ben Kingsley was in Schindler's List, wasn't he?
He
I feel
was,
like,
yeah.
Okay. And then we're playing 3 Degrees of or whatever, Ben Kingsley. And then I was thinking the movie Enemy at the Gates, where I guess that was
Enemy of
World
the
War
Gates,
II.
yeah. Which was
Great
a great film. Yeah.
Let's see.
Funnily enough, I think that was John Moore, and the IT that I did, the Pierce Brosnan film, is also directed by John Moore.
Ah, there we go. See, once you're in LA, everything's connected to something. I'm looking at the Pierce Brosnan one. Like, it's just such a funny. I don't know. It's like how was that movie? It seems like
it was a lot of fun. I mean, it's definitely one of those. It's definitely one of those films that you enjoy watching. But it's sort of a guilty pleasure, it's a bit cheesy, but it's good. It's about a kid who, Pierce Brosnan plays this very kind of arrogant rich guy who pisses off the IT guy at his firm, who then turns around and basically hunts him and makes his life hell through the movie until they have the inevitable big fight scene at the very end of the movie. But the score is actually really cool. It's because it's IT, the score's sort of electronic with some big orchestra behind it, so it was a lot of fun. It's definitely thriller action, but it's the kind of movies I used to watch. I go to Blockbusters and I go, what should I watch? And then you see that something like this on the shelf, and you're like, oh, I've never heard of it, and you take it home and you enjoy it. But
that's exactly what I was going to say. It reminds me of like going to Blockbuster. Like I'm like, yeah, what is that? Like it looks like Sliver. Remember that movie with Sharon Stone? I think where the guy had. Yeah, they had the same thing, like sort of monitoring everything, but it was before computers.
That's exactly it. Yeah, it's he monitors everything and gets inside all his IT accounts and even hacks the car, all those kind of fun things.
Oh, that's funny. Well, good to see Pierce Brosnan still getting work. That's fine. Yeah, for every now and then I just have a random urge to like Google, like search things on YouTube. So yesterday I'm like, I don't know why, but I searched the fencing scene from Die Another Day, or no.
Oh yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Is that with Madonna? Is that what it was called? Or would Die something? Or no, that might have been it.
I think it's Tomorrow Never Dies.
Let me see. Madonna joust scene. No, that's what I looked up. So this is from Die Another Day. No, that was it. Yeah.
Oh, it is Die Another Day.
So Tomorrow Never Dies. Which one was that? That's 1997. So that'd be earlier. Oh, but that was with him as well. Okay, so yeah, he's in all the. That was with Michelle Yeoh and Terry Hatcher.
Yeah, Jonathan Pryce.
Yeah. Yeah. There he is. Huh. So yeah. So I guess every James Bond has Die in it, so it's hard to keep track of what they're called. Yeah, I want to play James Bond one day. I feel like time is running out, but I still have hope.
Well, they are looking.
Yeah, it's true. I know. I keep thinking, well, and I keep looking at how old were people, and I'm like, you know what? you know, like, what's his
Daniel
face?
Craig was pretty old. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's 52 now
Yeah,
or
he was
whatever.
40 when he started.
Was he? I thought he was like 36 or something.
Oh, I think he was in his 40s. I could be wrong. But...
No, I don't think the first one. How old was Daniel Craig in Casino Royale? 38. Okay.
38.
So,
Okay.
so we were both right in the middle between our two guesses. So yeah, I guess a bit older. And then, you know, I keep looking up like, okay, who are people who are succeeding later? And I looked up the who's the woman on Saturday Night Live? I don't know if she's still on this year, but the black woman. Anyway, she got on when she was 47. And I was like, okay, SNL, age 47. The one who was in Ghostbusters.
Oh, right.
Let's see, Ghostbusters. Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray, Leslie Jones, is that her name? Yeah.
That
Anyways,
sounds right.
yeah. So I'm collecting anybody who's, you know, like, but most people, I mean, nobody. I mean, unless it's some weird thing where you just happen to get discovered. I mean, people work on this for years, and then maybe you just get your big break or something. Like,
I think that happens a lot. You know, they talk about these overnight discoveries, and you look back and you realize they've been working for 30 years. One of the famous ones for me was in the music field is John Lund from Downton Abbey. When Downton Abbey broke, the TV series, the music in that is just gorgeous. And so I was going, who's this John Lund? You know, of course I think he's in his 50s or 60s, you know.
he's an actor or composer?
He's the composer. He did all that iconic theme music, you know.
That's so funny that you would be watching it going, who's the composer on this?
That's what
right?
I always do. Any movie,
Exactly.
I'm always like, who wrote the music for this? Is it any good? You
Yeah.
know. But yeah, John Lund definitely broke very, very late in life, and as exciting to see. But yeah, overnight success at 60.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, like Christoph Waltz was like another example. Like he, you know, it's like, oh my gosh, who is this guy in Glorious Bastards? But you know, he'd been a character actor in Austria or whatever for all his life, kind of thing. So yeah, but I mean, I don't know, I just keep working on it, I guess. And things can happen fast these days. I went to VidCon for a day in the summer, like in LA, and yeah, I met like a guy who just blew up over the pandemic and gets millions of views now because he just comments on news or pop culture. And it's like, so yeah, if you just start churning things out now, you could make things happen.
I think it's a lot easier with these platforms and everything just being digital. You know, you can
Yeah.
just do it on your iPhone or your laptop.
There's definitely no excuse to not do it. Like if you're like, oh, I can make films or I can act, well, do it. You can do it with your phone. You can do your monologues right now. So, you know, whether you go viral or get discovered or whatever, who knows? But at least you can be making the content. Like, I don't know why I never just bought a camcorder with my bar mitzvah money or something. Like, it never occurred to me, buy your own camera. So I borrowed my friend's video camera in high school, and we shot like sketches for my high school English project and stuff. But he's got all that footage now because it was all on his little VHS-C tapes or whatever, and I lost the one edited VHS thing in university. Like, I showed it to all my friends in dorm, and then I never saw that tape again. And what's interesting, I went to his house a couple of years ago to take a look, and it's like, yeah, this is the only footage of me at 18 to see what I look like and what I sound like. Like, I've got to get a copy of that from him because otherwise there's nothing.
Yeah, those things are so good. I remember maybe when I was even 10, I did just for fun, I did sort of a Dracula movie. We had a big where I learned piano was at this big castle in Victoria, BC, and I just thought it would make an ideal place to, you know, shoot a Dracula movie. So
Yeah.
I roped in all my other 10-year-old friends to play different parts, you know, and shot it over a weekend. Spoke with the conservatory, said, hey, can we, you know, but it's pretty funny because you look at it now and they're, you know, it has such great sentimental value because, you know, of all the people in it, they're of their age. These were, and same with my son. He joined. He was at school here in LA, and a lot of his friends were really into making films, and they created some really funny content as part of their high school film course. And so same thing. When he gets older, it'll be really, really awesome for him to go back and have a look at all those films they made. I think that's very important. Is certainly for myself as someone who is creative, it's important to just not be afraid and get out there and take those chances and do those creative things, because they're very satisfying. And even if they don't go anywhere, they're I think incredibly fulfilling. I mean, that's why I enjoy music. It's not always the easiest field to be in, but it's certainly incredibly satisfying when you feel like you've written something, even if it's to a project that maybe people don't see. The fact if you feel you've accomplished something with creatively that is satisfying, it's such a great feeling.
Yeah, and I guess a lot of people don't understand that. Like, if they're not creative necessarily, I mean, everybody's creative, but maybe they don't have the drive to do it. But now I'm realizing in my life now, like, I didn't even like going to pub in university. I'd say, here, no, I'd rather hang out in dorm and go to the washroom with a guitar with some people and we'd sing because the acoustics were good in there. And like, I've got cassette tapes of those songs, and that gave me such pleasure rather than just, we're going to get drunk and try to meet girls or whatever. And I guess I've left that slip a little bit from me, because I've got my guitar here that I've put beside my desk thinking, okay, I need to keep back up, but I haven't played it in years. But it was always my greatest, like, before I had a smartphone, I would take my guitar with me if I was going to a different city, because I just wanted to be able to strum it at night and stuff. And now I'm like, why don't I just write a song every day? Like, just for pleasure and just.
Well, I think that's the key, as you say. It's one of the questions I get asked a lot is, do you have to write when you're inspired? And I don't have that luxury.
No.
I have to write every day, just to hit deadlines. But I find in the process of writing every day, some days you have good days, some days you have bad days. But if you write every day, chances are you're going to have a body of material that you can go back to and edit and revise, when you maybe feel a bit fresher. But that discipline of writing every day, it's the same with script writing. It was one of the things Ty West, because Mia Goth co-wrote the script with Ty. She was like, I really don't know what to do. And he just said, do it every day. Just write something, even if it's for an hour, even if it's 20 minutes. Yeah. Write it as a stream of consciousness. Don't worry about it. We'll go back and edit it, but write. Yeah. And I think that's the key. I there's a bunch of really awesome artists that I'm working with in LA, just trying to sort of expand just out of doing film and TV to doing some songwriting with different artists. And all of the ones who are having success, they do it every day. They'll try and write a song a week, and produce it and write another one. Same with filmmakers. I find the successful filmmakers are always the ones that haven't just done one film and then stopped. It's they've done film, and then they do another film, and you notice that they get better and better every single time. They learn their craft that way. They improve, and that, to me, I think, is the biggest secret of success. It's not just, obviously luck plays a huge part of it, but I think it's really important to develop that discipline of going back every day and doing something. It won't always be good, but it won't always be bad. You'll have those days where suddenly it's just clicking and it's working, and that to me seems to be the key.
At least it'll be done. Like, Woody Allen said, 90% or 80% of success is just showing up, and it kind of, it's the same. And I've read lately that, to be successful, you can't just wait until you feel like going to the gym or being. You just do whatever you need to do, walk through it, force yourself to do it, and then wait, rather than waiting till you're motivated or happy or whatever, just figure out what you need to do and do it. And then, like, I always think that, of course, you could wait till you're inspired or whatever, but I don't know. To me, it always seems like the incremental betterness that something might be if it's great isn't that much other than just done. Like, just crank something out. Especially these days, people need so much content. You could be making content every day. People watch it. Like, just do it. Like, Yeah, it really is. Yeah, forcing yourself. Like I always feel better when I force myself to sit down and I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna type. And then whenever I do that, I'm like, oh, why didn't I do this all week? Like it's just the discipline to force yourself to do it because it's gonna be fine, whatever you type. And it doesn't even matter. Like even from the stand-up comedy I've done, I'm like, everybody's, oh, I'm not. People are afraid they're not funny. I'm like, nobody's funny. Like it's almost all of it is just doing it. Just go up there and smile and laugh if it's not good. Like so much of it is just doing it. Just film the thing, write a song. Who cares? Like there's no good. Like it's just what would Yoda say? There is no do. There's only try. There's no try to only do. Like whatever.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, for me, that was one of the things that because I'd always wanted to be a composer and. I'd never thought of myself conducting at all, but I've done a lot of live Disney show work as well as films. And both Disney and Tyler Bates, on 300, one of the early films I did, was like get up there and conduct. And so it wasn't really that I knew much about conducting. I'd done a few conducting lessons, but. Now here I am 20 years later and people hire me just as a conductor, to go,
Wow.
I conducted Hidden Figures and the two It films, It 1 and It 2, and, the Christopher Robin film for Disney, I was just hired just as a conductor on those films. And I wouldn't necessarily say I was ever dreaming of being a conductor, but it was just one of those other areas that I became interested in, and people just pushed me and said, get up there and do it. And after 20 years, suddenly you actually know what you're doing.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, unless, okay, brain surgery, you should probably go to school.
Yeah,
and make sure
brain surgery might be the exception to that.
But almost anything else.
Yes.
Yeah, like I've heard like interviews on podcasts.
Maybe creating nuclear weapons might be another area you might need some schooling on. But
we could make a list of those. But creative things or
Yes.
public speaking. I remember I was listening to some podcasts where some woman, I guess she was helping some other big public speaker, but then he couldn't do it, and she's like, "Yeah, I can do this," and even though she couldn't, but then you just do it, you wing it. Like nobody knows what they're doing in anything. Like just step up, tell them you can do it, and what's the worst that'll happen? Unless you're building nuclear weapons or whatever. So that's very cool. Like, how did you get into, like, I'm starting to wish, I mean, looking back at my life, I'm like, oh, I loved writing songs. Why didn't I focus on that? But I also loved acting or directing. So it's like, but music, I've been like, cause I was, I don't know, I went to a bunch of music festivals this summer, and I just seeing people scream for the musicians, I realized, oh, there's nothing like that. There's nobody screaming like in love with comedians or anybody really. Like it's just music for some reason is this thing that you can just be so loved for. So I'm like, I should have done music, or at least I should try to write songs again. How did you get into it? Like, did you just went to music school? And
yeah, I was studying as a sort of a classical pianist and found that I was enjoying writing more, but ultimately it came down to a decision just to move to LA and see what I could do here.
Yeah.
And I think certainly when I moved here in 2001, it was important to be in the city. Maybe not so much now with digital, but back then you really needed to get in front of people, and all the meetings were in person, so you had to kind of be here. Has changed now. I'll have Zoom meetings with directors and things like that. But I think it was, I think it is just keep trying.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, definitely being in the city. I know, like, 10, 15 years ago, I went to a friend's house, just stayed at her apartment for a week and worked on my screenplay, and she'd come home and take notes or give me notes, and I would meet with little talent agencies that are like, okay, well, let us know when you live in LA. Like, yeah, we'll rep you, because especially, but yeah, like there's enough people in LA,
wasn't it? Yeah. Let us know when you're in LA. That would seem to be the expression everybody used, and so I was like, all right, I better be in LA.
Yeah, and I was like, well, wait, give me a reason to be here. No, that's not how it works. It's like just come and you make friends and just bumping into people, because there's enough people there that they don't have to be like, oh, we're going to talk to some guy who's not even in the city. Like, it's just and especially, I mean, all my life people have been like, why aren't you in LA yet? Just 'cause, like, if you're a creative person, that's where you should be. Like, why wouldn't you be there? So hopefully I'll the rabbi's mother said, yeah, we've got a room in Anaheim. You can come crash with us. I'm like, all right, let's do this. Although, yeah, again, what am I doing there? But you just go there and you figure it out, I guess.
Yeah.
Just to be around people. So very, very cool. What else was I going to ask? I mean, we can wrap it up because, I'm
yeah.
sure
Sadly,
you're busy.
I have a lunch. I got to zip off for.
Oh, right. It's noon for you now.
Yeah. We're just hitting that lunch.
Oh, my God.
Lunch zone.
Are you going to eat outside on a patio because it's L.A.?
Yep.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully I'll come and have lunch with you sometime. Maybe you can score a little short film of mine sometime, or I'll send you one of my songs. Oh, what if I wrote you like a little a little funny, not a funny song, but like a little love song on the guitar, like a 3-minute acoustic thing, and I could send it to you and go, like, yeah, I'll put on a little something, and then we can put it on Spotify.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's my thing right now, is having fun doing collaborations. So.
All right, we're gonna collab, as the kids say. All right, well, thank you so much, and
so great chatting with you.
Yeah, and say hi to Larry David or whoever you bumped into. And
hopefully I bump into Larry David. He's high on my bucket list.
All right,
people
cool.
I want to meet.